Well, there's a new sheriff in town. Well, a new sheriff candidate in town, so to speak, and that is Tom Vaughn. Tom is currently the police chief in Southport, and he joins us on the newsline, declaring his official candidacy for sheriff. So, Tom, thank you very much for being with us.
Hey, thank you very much for having me today. I appreciate that.
So, you're in a nice little town, Speedway, no crime, no hassle, no problem. Why do you want to be sheriff? Don't you got anything better to do with your time these days, my friend?
Yeah, you would think I would. I don't know. It's always been a passion of mine. I started my career out at the sheriff's department, so it's always been someplace that I always called home, and thought one day maybe I could get back to working there. As a police chief, I've learned a lot of tools and stuff that I think that I can bring to the sheriff's department to make it more effective and efficient.
Tell us about your law enforcement background. Tell us about your career, how you got to where you are today.
So yeah, I started in 1997 with the Marion County Sheriff's Department. I was actually a reserve in Pittsburgh short time before that. Started out in the building, worked court line, those type of things, and then I had the opportunity to go over to the Indianapolis Park Rangers. So I was there for quite a while. Um, Went up through the ranks there. Got offered a job in 2014 with Southport as the new police chief. So I accepted that position, and I've been there ever since, and working away at it.
Now, what did you do at the sheriff's department that would make you that ask your qualifications to run for sheriff?
Well, at the sheriff's department, the building deputies are the ones who secure the city county building. We used to do 10th and Post Road, that facility over there. We did a lot of those things. Then, of course, court line, we would transfer prisoners from the jail over to the courts and do the court security while the trials were going on. So, doing that kind of stuff, I understand the inner workings of the jail and how it operates and some of the issues and stuff that you have there. So that was kind of like my launching point to, you know, through my whole police career. I feel I've been very lucky. I mean, I've worked in the jail. I understand the courts. I understand how to do the building security. And then the opportunity with the park rangers is, they had 185 park properties, and we were responsible for securing all those. So you really learn the de-escalation part, the personal connections, that community policing, because you had all the kids, families, and all those rec centers. So again, and then getting to as the police chief of a city, learning all of those type of things. So I think I'm very well rounded on running, being the sheriff for Marion County.
I know one of the issues in the sheriff's department has been the former IMPD merger, which is going on 20 years old and change.
Yeah.
For a while, the sheriff was responsible for law enforcement, then went back to the council under Greg Ballard. Stayed under Joe Hogsett, but slowly but surely, slowly but steadily, the sheriff's department has been kind of growing back to its original force, original strength. Any thoughts on the organizational aspects of the sheriff's department?
Yeah, and I can't. I'll tell you, I wasn't a big fan of the merger, and I don't think it's worked out the way we hoped it would. In theory, it sounded really good, but if you look at IMPD right now, or any law enforcement agency really, in the state, it is very hard to find qualified applicants now to do the job. Um, if you look at the sheriff's department, he's slowly given away everything. They used to do communications; he doesn't do that anymore. So he's really given up most of his responsibilities as the sheriff, as the state constitution states. So that's one of the things that we want to look at right now as a group. Like I said, we have 5 excluded cities and towns inside of Marion County, along with the sheriff's department and IMPD. Getting all of those to work together so that we do have the manpower numbers that we need, no matter what that patch is on your shirt, is something that I think I've been very successful with at Southport, especially being a very small city.
Speaking of Southport, how was crime in Southport?
Our crime statistics are very low inside the city as far as residents crimes inside there. What we see is where we're located. You have Greenwood to the south of us. Of course, we're surrounded by Marion County or IMPD's area. So we get a lot. Most of our arrest and crime is normally people coming through the city, going from one point to the other.
And it's fun. It's interesting you bring it up because I know there've been some complaints by folks in the donut counties about or having to arrest criminals who are from Marion County. There was some talk about actually sort of maybe charging back Marion County taxpayers
Yeah.
for a Marion County resident who commits a crime, say in a Greenwood, a Greenfield, a Brownsburg, or Carmel. Uh, is that the way to go, to sort of charge back the taxpayers? Even though I would argue too that somebody from Greenwood committed a crime in Indianapolis, we don't send them the
Right.
bill.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense to me. I mean, again, like I just said, we all have to work together. Crime's transient. We have all the vehicles, we have all these ways of getting from point A to point B. A lot of our problem is, the prosecutor not prosecuting crimes and letting repeat offenders out. Our recidivism rate is, one of the highest. It's that vicious circle. I mean, it's time for all of us to sit in a room and put all the egos aside, put all that aside, and sit there and have real conversations where we are looking at the community as, how do we protect them? That is our job, right? It's our job is to make sure that we give the best protection that we can, and we're there for them. When we start this, well, I'm going to charge you for this. Well, I'm not coming over here to help you. I mean, I think we're just making the problem worse, not better.
Our guest in the program today is Tom Vaughn. Tom is the police chief of Southport and is now officially declared his candidacy for sheriff of Marion County. So we're talking about some of the issues facing the sheriff's department. Tom, another big issue of the sheriff's has always been the jail,
Hmm.
court security, and serving process. Has there
Right.
been any issue with particularly to the jail that you'd like to see done, maybe revamped as we could have built our as we just built our new jail?
Right. Yeah. And that they've had a lot of issues with the new jail also. That was another thing we spent a lot of money on. And I know at the beginning there, the judges were afraid to go because they couldn't keep it secure. Inmates were figuring out how to get out and stuff like that. One of the things I see, especially with the jail, at Southport, I've been a law enforcement instructor certified through Indiana Law Enforcement Academy since 2001. So I'm very passionate about training. I think to be successful, we need to give our officers or deputies the tools and training to be successful. And if we don't, I believe that does fall on us leadership. At Southport, we have a reserves, quite a few reserves, and all of ours go through the Tier 2 training, which is certified through Indiana Law Enforcement Academy that we actually give at Southport. When you look at the sheriff's department, it used to be deputies that ran the jail. We've went to detention deputies now. I believe it's only a 3-week training course that they go through. Again, the pay is very low. So we are getting, people who need to work and have a passion for the job and want to do the job good. But I just don't think that training's there for them. And I don't think the tools that we have nowadays they have there. They have the drug problem inside the jail is very bad. And how are those drugs getting in? There's technology we have that we can get that would scan the bodies. And I'm talking about everybody that comes in, not just inmates. So there's a lot of those steps that we can take that will better equip our deputies to be able to do the great job that they want to do. And I just think we fall short on that. I don't think we focus in on the training and the tool aspect as much as we used to.
Tom Vaughn with us on the program today. Tom, candidate for Marion County Sheriff, declaring his candidacy this weekend, and also currently the police chief of Southport. At 20 years, at least 20 years of law enforcement experience, dating all the way back to 1997.
We're hitting
Tom,
30.
I'm sorry, 30 years.
Yeah, we're
That's right.
hitting 30.
Yeah, we're in the same age group. I know exactly what you're talking about,
Yes,
my
yes.
friend. What do you hear from deputies who work for the jail? Obviously, you want to protect people's identities, but what do people kind
Right.
of privately say? What are their concerns? What would they like to see you do should you become sheriff?
Yeah, I think they're looking for a more fairer system. I mean, you hear the pay to play, you hear a lot of those rumors. That's one of the big concerns. If I'm qualified for a position, what's it going to cost me to get to that position? And I hate hearing that kind of stuff. That shouldn't even factor in. A lot of it's their training and their equipment. Those type of things. They want to see someone who wants to come in and has a vision for that department and or office so that they know what they're supposed to do on a daily basis, have the tools to do it, and have a fair shot to, progress through the sheriff's office and, get to the goals that they want, as a deputy. So, those are a lot of the things that I'm hearing. There's, it's not safe inside the jail for them. They're understaffed, so there's more prisoners than there is, deputies. Just those type of things. And Some of them even want to see, better programs for the inmates to help them, when we're eventually going to release them. So, what do those programs look like, and how can we make those better so that the inmate, when he gets out, has a shot at, being successful?
So what you said is the right hand of justice tempered with the left hand of compassion.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm a law and order guy. I mean, always have been. They call me the old school guy, at work. But everybody makes mistakes, and just because you made a mistake doesn't make you a bad person, right? I believe there's consequences for your actions. I believe they should be fair, across the board, no matter who you are. But what type of things are we doing inside the jail to actually make a difference and not just putting money in the pockets of the ones who are supposed to be, running these programs, or, just having a fairer process when it comes to that.
Well, I've always told people, if you think jail, because you hear the stereotype that, you know, jail and to a lesser degree prison, it's all club fed. It's like, oh, spend a
Hmm.
week in there and then
Right.
tell me if you want to stay.
Yeah. No, that, I mean, and we've got a brand new jail, and it's very nice, but go in there and spend 20 minutes and you won't want to go back. One of the things they used to have years ago was that program where we'd bring kids through the jail, so they could see, hey, this is what's going to happen. And we don't even do that anymore. Um, you know, um, So, those type of things where we can do that. One of the things that I preach here in Southport is, we are a community. I don't want to be that iron fist that comes in and just, oh God, there's the police, right? I want to be part of that community. I want them to reach out. We are very big on community policing. We will, do anything that we can to help them. But again, we do have a job to do, and we're not afraid to do that job. But I think we do a very good balance of that. And I think if you talk to anybody, on the South Side, they're going to tell you that, they're fair and they're there for you. But if you deserve to go to jail, you are going to go to jail. And I think that's a pretty good balance.
Speaking of jail, and Tom Vaughn with us on the program today, Tom, the police chief of Southport, candidate for Marion County Sheriff. Tom, let's turn our attention to juvenile crime and juvenile offenses
Yeah.
because those have really picked up a lot lately. A lot of
Yeah.
juveniles with a lot of weapons. Their
Yes.
brains aren't developed enough. They're quick to pull a trigger and shoot each other. And it's not just juvenile boys, like in what like it's more like it's also juvenile females as
Yeah.
well. What is your
Yes.
thoughts on juvenile crime prevention and the juvie jail for that matter?
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't see any consequences for the juveniles that are doing these now. I mean, we have repeat offenders. We've stopped several cars, I don't know, in the last couple months that are juveniles that have guns in those vehicles. Where are they getting them? Where are the parents? It's those type of things that we really got to focus in on. It's like they're just free reign for them. And again, like you said, they're not afraid. I don't know if it's a video game error where I get 14 lives and I'm good. But there's just, I don't see any trying to get a juvenile in jail or in juvenile. Um, they just release them to the parent, and we're right back to where we are. I mean, it's, like the curfew. We hold them, we bring the parents down, we release them again, and then next weekend we're chasing them, the same kids around again. And like I said, it's a vicious circle that, again, we haven't sat down and said, there's got to be consequences for their actions. As a juvenile, if you get arrested, that gets sealed when you become an adult. So now is the time to um, work with them on, this is wrong, this is the consequence, this is what you have to do. Hopefully, that when they become an adult, that we're not having that same pattern and we're not rearresting them as adults at that point.
Speaking of adults, how do we hold parents accountable for the actions of their kids?
I think they should be charged. I mean, I think if you got kids running out there with guns, I've been a police officer. I've carried a gun before I was a police officer. Very first thing was teach your kids the responsibility of a gun. They're locked up. They're, all that kind of stuff. Um, and there's too many times where we'll stop these kids and we'll figure out it's the boyfriend's gun, the girlfriend's gun, the dad's gun, whoever's gun it is, but they have easy access to them. And again, with everything, in society that you see, to them, it's not a problem to carry a gun at their age. And that's just the wrong attitude. So we have to hold somebody accountable. I mean, you're a parent, it's your responsibility to make sure your child is doing the right things, is being raised a certain way. And if we're failing at that, to me, that's not a bad option to look at.
We got a couple minutes left with Tom Vaughn. Tom, candidate for Marion County Sheriff, Republican candidate for Marion County Sheriff, taking on the Democrats and Libertarians, maybe if Libertarians field a candidate in 2026. Tom, as we get ready to wind up our conversation here, one thing that I've noticed is when we talk about crime and reinforcement, the whole nine yards, and there's this perception though that while the statute of the downtown area is relatively safe, it's the lowest crime area in town. The perception is a different creature because we'll hear about a shooting and then everything goes to hell in the handbasket. As sheriff, what role do you play in downtown safety?
Well, and again, the sheriff's department has its reserve division that does street patrols and does traffic enforcement, and does that kind of stuff. So I don't see a lot of cooperation. Now, I don't know that they're not there. I can't say that 100%, but I think the sheriff needs to be standing there next to IMPD with solutions and offering help any way he can to reinforce those areas that we're seeing, the street takeovers or the big groups of kids or whatever that is. Again, I think our biggest thing in Marion County right now is we don't work together enough. We have a sheriff's department that has deputies with the training, then they should be out there also helping.
And in addition to that, when we talk about sort of a regional approach to dealing with the crime issue, how do we remind people, like I said, in Greenfield, in Avon, in Carmel, Zionsville, Greenwood, etc., that it's not just an inside the 465 problem, that crime will spread.
Right.
And by the way, criminals don't know where criminals don't know where
No.
Sunnyside Road is or
Right.
where Raceway Drive is.
You're absolutely right. Yeah. Yeah. And that's the big thing. And again, one of the things that I see wrong with the sheriff's department is they're not very transparent. They're not out there. We're not talking about all the good things. I mean, if you look at law enforcement, 9 times out of 10, when you're on the news, it's not for something good, right? It's something went bad, someone died, something like that. We don't do we got a beautiful downtown. They've done a lot of work, and like you said, people are scared to go there. And I think it's our job to get out there and say, these are the things that we're doing. This is the safety protocols that we've put in place. This is how we're working together to make it safe. It is safe. Come down, and see us. And the same thing, with these donut counties and, the people that want to come down to the fair and that kind of stuff. We need to be more proactive in that kind of stuff and really get our message out to the community. Cause I don't see it, especially with the sheriff's department.
Final question for you, my friend. Marion County is a predominantly Democratic county, 65-35 are the numbers. How do you compete?
It's going to be tough, and it's an uphill battle. And again, I came into the race late, but we're going to put our nose to the ground. We're going to get out and talk to as many people as we can. We're going to give our vision. Our website will be up early next week. I'm going to put all of our plans on there on what I want to see and how I want things to change or how I'm going to change things. But it's going to be an uphill battle, and I just hope that we forget about parties and we start listening to the candidates. And we really start hearing what they're saying and looking for those individuals that want to make a difference in our community, want to be part of that community, and have good strategic plans on how to fix the issues that we're having.
All right. Well, our guest on the program today has been Tom Vaughn. Tom, the Republican candidate for Marion County Sheriff. We're now currently the police chief in Southport. So, Tom, my friend, thank you very much for being with us. Looking forward to talking to you again as the campaign goes forward.
Thank you very much. I appreciate your time today, and everybody have a happy 4th of July.